Hi folks, Sty here. Time for another Sty story. I'm doing a bunch of videos today, so I'm doing a couple of Sty stories, so I've got something in my archives. Um, it looks like my employer is changing my work schedule up. I may end up not having too many times where I have 2 consecutive days in a row off. Looks like it's going to be an on-off, on-off, on-off kind of schedule. So it's going to be difficult for me to get out and do the camping I want. So, but I do know all of next week. Um, I I've got 6 of the 7 days from Sunday to Sunday. 6 of the 7 days are already booked, so I'll have one day off. If the weather's real good and I have the opportunity, I might take off to the woods to do something. Um, Maybe I'll be able to get a video made. So maybe not. So that's why this Sty story will probably, you're watching this Sty story a week after it happened, I guess, after I told it. Because I'm going to try to save it so I have something to put up next week if I cannot get out. Okay? So, this Sty story it's called That Bee Bit That Boy. Okay, a little front end. Back in the early, well, late 1970s, early 1980s, um, I drove over the road truck. Um, I kind of enjoyed that work, but because I got to travel all around the country. But it wasn't good for family life, so I had to get out of that line of work. But I was working for a company that's manufactured windows. And I had a truckload of windows that I had to deliver down in Mississippi. I'm trying to recall the town. It was a small town. It wasn't a very big town. Um, and they had a warehouse that I was supposed to drop all these windows off to. And they were going out to a big housing project somewhere, big development. But all I had to do was drop them off at this warehouse. Well, so I get to this warehouse, right? And it's on the outskirts of this tiny little town. And they got this big open grassy area. Gravel road goes in and there's a big parking lot and the warehouse. Well, I'm coming down that gravel road and I just get into the parking area, swinging my truck around to back it up to the loading dock. And all of a sudden I see men jumping off there was 5 loading docks. They're jumping off all 5 loading docks and running like the place is on fire. And all of a sudden they came out of the office door. 2 of them came out of there and were running. And everybody's running all the way to the other end of the parking lot. And I thought, what's going on? Is that place going to blow up or something? So I just stopped my truck quite a ways from the building. I got out of the truck, started walking towards these guys that are running. And 3 of them run right past me. And here comes this great big fella. And he's just giving it all he's got, trying to run across that parking lot. And he goes, "Don't go in there." And he's got a real strong southern drawl, you know. And he goes, "You don't go in there." I said, "Why not? What's going on?" He goes, "That bumblebee bit that boy." I go, "Say what?" He goes, "I'm not kidding. Don't go in there. That bumblebee, it bit that boy. He says, and the ambulance is on its way. So I thought, are you kidding me? I just saw about 9 grown men running from that building like it's going to explode any minute. And it's because there's a bumblebee in there. I went to the building and I went in the warehouse door instead of the office door. And I'm yelling, is there anybody in here? Anybody in here? Because them other guys, they're all the way across the parking lot. And then all of a sudden I heard this guy, over here. And I turned and I looked. I couldn't see him, but he goes, over here. Get over here. So I started walking towards his voice, and I went around this counter, and he's sitting on the floor, and he's kind of curled up in the corner, and he's holding his arm like this. He's just cradling his arm like this. And I go, what's going on? He goes, I got bit by a big bumblebee. And I said, are you allergic to bee bites? He goes, I've never been stung before by a bee. I said, oh, well, okay. He says, but the ambulance is on its way. And I said, everybody ran out. He goes, well, yeah. He says, that bumblebee bit me. He said, they don't want to get bit. I said, where were you when this thing bit you? He says, in the office. He says, and that bee's still in there. He said, but it might not, because he said when they ran, they left the warehouse door open. I went in the office, and I'm looking around, then I heard it. It's in this little office window they have that looks out towards the parking lot. And that bumblebee's in the windowsill, buzzing along, back and forth, back and forth. And it stopped, and it's just kind of crawling. So I got it by its wings, and got a hold of it. Great big old fat black and yellow bumblebee. And I took that bumblebee and I walked out the door and I yelled at those guys, it's safe now, I've got it. And they're yelling at me from almost an acre away. Is it dead? I'm sorry, folks, but yeah, this is terrible. There's a death involved. I threw it on the concrete step and I stomped on it and I yelled at them, it's dead now. And they all came back. I was their hero. I was their hero. The manager, after I unloaded my load, he insisted that we go back into town to this one cafe, and he says, I'm going to buy you lunch for killing that bumblebee. He said, you saved the whole crew. We didn't know what we were going to do. We didn't know how the ambulance guys were even going to be able to get in there to get hit, but save the guy that got bit. I said, save him? I said, you know, put some cortisone cream on that bite and he'll be all right in about 5 minutes. I said, it was a bumblebee. The guy said, you saw how big it was. And that bumblebee bit that boy. Grown men, I'm telling you, there's 9 of them, and they come flying out of there like their drawers were on fire because that bumblebee bit that boy. Yeah, Sty was there to rescue them. I still don't know what the heck I did that was such a big deal, but there you go. There's a Sty story for you. And don't let that bumblebee bite that boy. Thanks for watching, folks. This is Sty saying, you all have a nice day. Bye-bye.